Welcome to this week's episode of Biz Success in 15, where top experts share hot tips and strategies that you can implement in as little as 15 minutes to build your dream business. And now here's your host, the visibility whiz, Cindy J.
Hi, I'm Cindy J, the Visibility Whiz, and welcome to this episode of Biz Success in 15, where top experts share hot tips and strategies that you can implement in 15 minutes or less. Today, our guest is Sarah Michelle Brown, and she is a real-life filmmaker and actor who empowers big, dreaming entrepreneurs to be confident and full of personality on camera. She teaches them how to make amazing videos so that their dream clients love. Welcome, Sarah. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. Thank you for that very warm welcome, Cindy J. Woohoo!
Woo! Yes. I love the way that you teach video and teach people how to be confident on video. And so big kudos to you. Before we start speaking about videos, can you share a personal or business challenge that you had to overcome in order to achieve your level of success?
Sure. I would love to. I would say the biggest one that I had to overcome was because I come from being an artist. Well, let me put it to you this way. I was at a conference in 2016 and the speaker was talking about the difference between a successful business model and an unsuccessful business model. And Cindy J, let me tell you, the arts, according to this guy, is just as the arts are set up, a horrible business model. So his thing was a successful business spends 80% of their time on selling and marketing, okay? 20% of their time on creating and building. And the unsuccessful businesses, they spend 80% of their time creating and building and 20% of their time on sales and marketing. And as soon as he said that, it was like this light bulb went off over my head, because artists, and coming from being a filmmaker and an actor, you spend 80% of your time creating the thing. And you have an agent to deal, or a publicist to deal with the other 20%, so you actually are spending all your time on the creation process. And he said that, and it was just like a great aha moment, but also so painful to hear, because I thought to myself, like, wait a minute, does this mean like I have to now spend most of my time on marketing and sales? I was like, this isn't what I signed up for to have a business. Like, I thought it was like make a business, doing what you love. And here I am. Wait, I have to do exactly what I hate? Like, what? No. And I actually stepped away from my business for about a year, and I needed to process it. And I went and started developing a documentary, and I needed to process that information. And when I came back to my business, I decided it was time to spend some love on my business, and, figuring out how it would feel good and genuine for me to show up and spend that 80% of my time on sales and marketing. It was a process for me that I had to figure out, because it definitely wasn't like just do it the way everybody else does it, because I am a creative artist and I have to be able to approach this in a way that feels good. I have to feel good doing this. I don't want to feel out of alignment and out of character. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
you understand. And for me, it was literally like I approached it in a way of like, okay, how can I make friends with sales and marketing? How can we be friendly and get along instead of feeling like it's the enemy,
And you know what I love about your story is that he's like, okay, I need to make a shift. I need to spend more time on sales and marketing, but this is something that I hate. So how can I make it fun, and how can I align it with me? Where so many people, they would hear this and then they would take this other person's strategy and follow it step by step by step in sales and marketing, and they still wouldn't succeed because it's not in alignment with their personal beliefs and values and who they are.
Yeah, So beautifully said. Yes,
Mhm.
exactly.
And
And then
yeah,
you hate your business. Then you hate your
exactly.
business. Yeah.
I always go, did you get into business to be miserable? Seriously.
No, no.
Everything
I
has to be in
didn't.
alignment with who you
Yeah,
are.
absolutely.
And I love that you said,
Yeah.
hey, I'm going to make friends with sales and marketing. How can we
Yeah.
be friends? Because
Yeah.
that's so important. And we're constantly selling and marketing something. We're selling to our kids, go clean your room, do your homework. We're selling to our friends, hey, I seen this great movie. Or,
Yeah.
I tried this new recipe and isn't it good? And so whenever you can start sharing your business the same way that you share these other things, you're still in sales and marketing, but you're not being salesy, you're not being pushy, and you're not being unauthentic. You're being true to who you are.
Yeah.
Love
Absolutely.
that.
Yeah,
Thank you
absolutely.
so much for sharing that.
My pleasure.
And so going to video, so many people, they're terrified of being on video.
Yeah.
So why is this?
Well, if you think about like the top fears that human beings have, like death, public speaking. And public speaking is magnified with video, or it can feel that way. It's like public speaking times 1,000, right? Because, the thing, and I know exactly how it happens, is somebody has, say this wonderful entrepreneur, let's call her Mary, knows how much video can change a business. All the people she studies with, they're all doing video. The entrepreneurs that she wants to emulate, they're all doing videos. And her business coach is saying, Mary, you need to do videos. So Mary is like, okay, I'm going to do a video today. And so she presses the record button or goes live. And all of a sudden, she's standing there and all her fears are coming right up to her voice, coming right into her heart, into her mind, and shooting out through the camera lens. And it's like fears of people, of the future, of people saying negative things about her, judging her, fears about the past, of all the things that she's been told were not perfect about her. And she starts worrying about like, oh my God, who's going to want to listen to me? My voice is so horrible. Is it really that thin? Oh my gosh, I'm starting to sweat. Are they going to notice I'm sweating? And why do I keep like just, freaking out? And then so she's having a nervous breakdown in front of the camera because all of these fears are showing up in a focused way in front of that camera lens, and she also doesn't have a relationship with the camera lens, at least not a good relationship with the camera lens, So that's essentially like, why that fear is there. It's this all encompassing terror that you'll be, all of your sensitive and delicate pieces will be up for judgment. That you're laying out all your vulnerability to the world and that they will judge you harshly for it, and vulnerability is no joke. It's no joke. And, that vulnerability piece is really something that on top of the fear is the thing that really stops people in their tracks.
And talking about vulnerability, because this is, I think, you just said that, and it's like this catch-all or this yes-no thing, because we're always taught in quote-unquote sales and marketing, right? We're taught that you have to be a little bit vulnerable. Yeah. You have to share something that makes you be a little bit uncomfortable, because this is part of the know, like, and trust factor. It's part of what makes people connect with you whenever you can get up there and share something that you may not be proud of.
Yeah.
When I was a divorce coach, one thing that I used to share a lot, it's really sort of sad, but it helped people connect with me because they could identify this feeling. So I said, when I was with my ex, I just wanted out. I wanted out of the marriage. And I had a lot of people telling me if I divorced him, that I was going to go to hell. So who wants to go to hell, right? Oh. So I prayed and fasted. I literally prayed and fasted for 7 days that he died. And so this is being vulnerable, right? And this is sharing a
Mhm.
story that it's not one of my best moments. It's not that I wanted him to die as much as it was I wanted my pain to go away. But
Mhm.
whenever you're being vulnerable about something that happened, like you earlier saying, hey, you had that aha moment, the 20%, you was being 80% creative, 20% sales, and you need to flip that switch.
Yeah.
And this is you being vulnerable. So you have to be a little bit vulnerable to connect with people. But
Yeah.
whenever you're in front of the camera and you're feeling like you're being vulnerable and you have all these fears, it's a catch-all. I don't know if you're following my drift, but
I
if
am.
you can
Yeah.
address that.
Yeah, it is a catch-all, and it's so focused. Like, I know that fear so precisely, which is why I can teach around it. And for me, talk about sharing something vulnerable. Like, the first time that I had a real part in a film, and the first time I was really acting on camera, was for this short, very for this short film. And when I showed up on set, and let me preface this by saying I had just gotten back from studying theater in New York, and I was feeling very like, I can do this. I'm an actor. Woohoo! And then yeah, exactly. And then I got on set, and I could feel myself starting to fold into myself. And, you know, getting in front of that camera, and, makeup artist is coming in and doing their thing, and they're like measuring, the distance from your nose to the camera, and everyone's looking at you. And I literally became a lesser version of myself. And I became what so many entrepreneurs, or I did what so many entrepreneurs do, which is like, started forgetting my lines. I was sweating like crazy. My ears got really hot. I wanted to be anywhere but there. I'm just like, just try and breathe. And I felt so vulnerable, and I felt really unsafe.
Mm-hmm.
And it wasn't that it was like a bad crew or anything like that. It was me.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't prepared to be in front of that lens that's looking into my fears, that, I wasn't ready for this, and I remember there was a makeup artist who came up to me at one point during the shoot, and she was like, Sarah, she's like, you're the leading lady of this project, so you got to show up, you got to be the leading lady. And I was just like, I don't feel like the leading lady.
Mm-hmm.
That's not my thing. Hey, like, I don't do that,
Mm-hmm.
and I just, it was really, really hard. And I felt so vulnerable, so seen. And it felt like I just wanted to be anywhere but there. And when the screening for the film happened, all sorts of film industry people were there. It was up on this giant screen, and all I could see was how insecure I had felt in those moments, and how unprepared I felt in those moments, and how I just didn't know what I was doing,
And I think that's the
Yeah.
huge difference, with being vulnerable, is you were, your vulnerability was your fear of the camera, your fear of, hey, I don't feel like I'm a leading lady material. And whenever you're doing that, you're not coming off as being confident on camera, and you're not really doing your best because you're letting the fear take over.
Yeah.
Whereas what I was speaking about earlier, whenever you're sharing your vulnerabilities, this is something you're doing on purpose for a reason.
Yes.
And so this is the huge difference. So you need to share your vulnerabilities on purpose. But whenever you feel vulnerable, it's like, what tips can, because all of that is fear. Everything is fear. You're afraid of being rejected. You're afraid of not doing your best. You're afraid of somebody saying something bad about your performance.
Yeah.
And so how does one start coming about to do away with these fears?
Yeah. Well, the best thing that you can do is to, Eleanor Roosevelt says this thing, has a quote that says, do one thing every day that scares you.
Mm-hmm.
And literally that is the base, like the very basic element of making videos, getting better on camera, feeling comfortable and confident on camera, is you have to do one thing every day that scares you. And that means you need to, as I call it, rock your pop. And pop is the process of practice.
Right.
The more you do it, the more it becomes your friend. the more video becomes an ally and a cheerleader for you rather than the enemy. It's funny. I have this ex who, he played the guitar and he loved to, record, like to create songs. He loved songwriting, and about once a year he would decide to go into like one of the most complex audio programs out there and try to mix the song. And every time he would go in, and he's not tech savvy, and every time he'd go in there, he would get frustrated and upset, and I can't do this. And all his fears and vulnerabilities would come up with that, because it was like, I can't do this. And it would really rattle him. And I would say, well, babe, if you only try it once a year, you will always suck at it. So if you do it every day, it's confronting for you, but if you do it every day, you'll eventually learn how to use the program. But once a year, you definitely won't. So if you do like if you try one video and it's awful, and if you're just new to making videos and you're terrified of it, it will be awful. Like it'll be horrendous, and you'll be like, I can't do this. This sucks. It's horrible. But
I know I've shared this so much. My first videos, I was like, my name is Cindy.
Right.
Today we will be talking about confidence. Didn't sell anything, right? Did I?
Yeah.
Very confident. But it is. It's just practice.
Yeah. And it's like just being able to allow yourself to be a beginner can be really hard, because I know so many people who are entrepreneurs, are perfectionists, that, we want to make sure that we're putting our best foot forward. And we don't want to show up in a way that will hurt our business. Like we're very protective of our businesses. And, those first steps definitely will be awful and it's okay. And it's exactly where you need to be. That's exactly where you should start.
And I know, we always think with our business that we have to be perfect. We want, people to see that we're perfect. And even though you may share some of your vulnerabilities, there's still this thought, we have to be perfect. But really and truly, people don't trust perfect people, because nobody's perfect. Yeah. So whenever you start learning, like, one of my big things was, it was a vulnerability of mine, definitely, is my voice. And I know that I mispronounce some words, but I always learn, and people around me will teach me the proper pronunciation. But I always say I was a confused child. My mother was from New York. My father was from the South. So being caught between these two different accents, I think really confused me with how I was supposed to speak. And I went through speech class and through 8th grade. So I had a lot of teasing as a kid and a lot of, different things. I used to always call my brother Bubba Way, because I couldn't pronounce my R's. I couldn't say Ray. So it's Bubba Way. And so I was always teased about this. So whenever I started on video, I wanted to really control my voice and make sure that everything was pronounced correctly.
Absolutely. And I think so many times, like I see this time and time again with my students, is, everyone has their thing. Everyone has their thing that is a pain point for them, that they're afraid of showing, whether it's their voice or their size or their age or their hair or their smile, or like it just goes on and on and on. And what I teach is, it's not about fitting into somebody else's view of who you're supposed to be. All those people who told you that XYZ features or parts of you were not good enough, or that you need to fix it or whatever. If you go off and fix everything that is interesting about you and unique about you, then you're kind of boring. Like when I'm directing people, I don't want people to show up and be perfect. I want them to have that space where they're allowed to come through, and where, surprise is allowed to show up, or that those idiosyncrasies that make you show up, because that's interesting. And that's where spontaneity and surprise and personality really shine, is from allowing the parts of you that you're nervous about revealing to show up and to to love that part and to be okay with that part, but that, as you said, it's a process. It takes time.
Yeah, and it does. But, I really have never spoken to anybody that said that they were instantly comfortable on camera. Possibly somebody that's been on camera since they were, a baby, but most of us didn't grow up on camera. So therefore we're going to have these fears of it. And it's totally natural. Like I said, I've never spoken to anybody who wasn't afraid of it. I've spoken to lots of actresses and people in the film industry that still say, at the beginning they was afraid of the camera, especially whenever it came to selling their own products and services.
Sure. Yeah. And it's harder, I give so much love and have so much, compassion and empathy for entrepreneurs who are trying to do this video stuff, because, I come from a world of, filmmaking is this thing that involves many people who are all experts in their field. And the person who's behind the camera is not also the person who's in front of the camera. The person who's in front of the camera, all they have to worry about is being in front of the camera, as opposed to the lighting and the sound and the background and the this and the that, and writing the scripts and writing the title. Like, it just, I just imagine, if I hired, or I was doing an audition and and an actor came in and did a great job, and I just say, like, that was wonderful. Okay, now can you also write the script and light the scene for yourself and figure out what camera you'd like to use and blah blah. Like, it's just insane. So when I first started making videos for my own business, in order to teach entrepreneurs how to make videos for their own business, like, I had to go through a little bit of that learning curve, of going like, no, this is do it yourself, and you are wearing all hats, and how can we make this as fun and exciting and interesting and achievable as possible, so that entrepreneurs can wear all those hats and do it in a way that really shows how amazing they are to work with.
I love that. I mean, that is such a great analogy. I've never really connected, but you're right. There's hundreds or thousands of people creating even one commercial, whereas us as entrepreneurs, we're doing it all, and we're like, oh my God, and thinking everything has to be perfect. And you had said that you like people to be authentic and not perfect. So any other tips, like, okay, practice definitely, but any other tips to calm the nerves around being on camera?
Yes. So, and it's actually related to the practice videos, is when it comes to practice videos, don't practice making a sales video or a, blog video or a course video. At the beginning, take some pressure off of your shoulders and make videos that have zero importance to your business. Talk about things that are easy for you to talk about, things that are fun for you to talk about, things from your life. Like, don't talk about business at all, because that will make the process harder for you. So, being able to, when you do that, you're able to start showing up in different ways, like, because if I'm talking about my dog, how much I love my dog, one thing I could do is, like, bring the dog into the frame with me, so that I'm chatting with the dog, giving yourself permission to know there's no one way to do all this, and to do what you need to do in order to start having good experiences in front of the camera. So if that is like things like the phone a friend option, which is to invite someone like that you know and love and can talk easily with into the room with you. They can be beside you. They can be behind the camera. Just so that, you don't have to do all this on your own, and you don't have to do it in a way that is professional at the beginning. I know you, Cindy J, loved at the beginning to put a photo of your best friend, I think it was, just under the camera lens. And yeah, so that you can, like, have that person to feel like you're talking to someone. So, in front of the camera, there's no limits to things you can be doing in front of the camera in order to help get yourself feeling comfortable.
Right. Yeah. And, your pets, your children, your grandchildren, those are all great topics. I mean, if I were starting today, even if you get me talking about genealogy, I love some of the family stories and things that I've discovered on genealogy. I'm such a genealogy nut.
In my programs, I give, like, guided video missions, I call them, so that people have like real specific things that they're talking about that are fun and interesting for them to talk about, take the pressure off their shoulders, and it's like, it just helps guide the process.
Right. So Sarah, can you share a strategy that our listeners can implement in 15 minutes or less to build their business?
Well, for video, 15 minutes every day. You can do this in 1 minute every day, is to press that record button and do practice videos every day. On the business front, I would say what I really have gotten a lot out of is how I start my day when it comes to business stuff. So I don't start it by checking emails. I don't start it by trying to create something. For me, it's about, the first thing I do is I go, what can I do today to engage with my current clients? Is there something I should post in a group and ask how they're doing and blah, blah, blah. Check their posts, see how they're doing, show up and be helpful to my clients. Then it's like, show up and be helpful in different groups and social networks around video, go in and be just a helpful person. And then I go in and I just be helpful on, if there's other posts about general business, that I can just go in and be helped, that I, have inspiration to help somebody on. So, first 15 minutes is just like being helpful to, again, your clients first, then, your ideal clients who are out there and just need help, and then to, your peers. So, yeah.
And I love that. Yeah, just being helpful, because this is what's helping you be visible and showcase your expertise.
Yeah, exactly.
And Sarah, I know that you have a wonderful gift for our community. Can you share a little bit about it?
Sure. So this gift is a little something that is essentially a first step for you, because I am a firm believer, and I've seen it happen time and time again, that making videos, especially if you're terrified of the camera, is 95% mindset and 5% technology. Like that's where the most amount of power and energy and blocks, that's where that lives, is in the mindset stuff. So this is a freebie around helping you to start reframing how you're looking at video and giving you tips for how to approach being genuine and being yourself on camera. Baby steps. It's all about the baby steps.
Yes. And I love that. So to our listeners, you want to head on over even to bizsuccessin15.com/Sarah, SARAH, and you can grab your own Videos This Shine series, so you can start shining in your own videos. And Sarah, do you have any parting words for our listeners?
Yeah. I'll say this, building a business that you love, and also creating videos that you love are both things that need time, energy, and care, and commitment. None of them will become what you want them to become without those four things. And through the process, I highly encourage you to be kind with yourself, okay? Because it's so important to know that you are nurturing your future self when you do those four things. Okay.
I love that. Thank you very much, Sarah. It's been a pleasure having you as my guest today, so thank you.
Thank you.
And to our listeners, if you enjoyed today's show, feel free to share it with your friends. And you want to hop on over to bizsuccessin15.com/Sarah. You'll find all links mentioned on today's show. You can re-listen to Sarah's words of wisdom to catch any of those golden nuggets that you might have missed. You can catch up on past episodes from other top experts. And while you're there, be sure to grab your free gift of Videos That Shine so that you can start shining in your videos. Big hugs, and be sure to tune in next week for another episode with another fantastic guest. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to Biz Success in 15. For all links mentioned in today's show, and to watch or listen to previous episodes, visit bizsuccessin15.com. Thanks so much for listening, and be sure to tune in next week for another amazing guest.